The Adventures of Michael McKoy Jr. and Carl. Thumb-tastic Alien Adventure. A McKoy Vision production. One bright afternoon, Michael McKoy Jr. was doing his usual thing, sitting on the porch, whittling a stick with all the expertise of a kid with no idea how to whittle. Meanwhile, perched beside him, eyeing his hands with intense, envious glares, sat his best friend and cousin, Carl, who happened to be a pigeon. Carl the pigeon wasn't like other pigeons. He had an unusual, borderline obsessive desire for one thing and one thing only: thumbs. While other pigeons might spend their days pecking at breadcrumbs or building nests, Carl devoted his energy to imagining what it would be like to have opposable thumbs. Every time Michael did something that required thumbs, holding a pen, opening a soda can, or even scratching his head, Carl would glare, his pigeon eyes narrowing with sheer thumb envy. This particular afternoon, Carl had had enough. He let out a dramatic coo that seemed to shake the whole porch and took off into the sky, determined to find someone in the universe who could give him the thumbs he deserved. Michael, watching Carl disappear into the clouds, sighed. "Just be back by dinner," he muttered. A few hours later, a strange humming filled the air, followed by a blinding green light. Michael squinted and saw, hovering above the yard, an enormous, disc-shaped spacecraft, shimmering with alien symbols. The door slid open with a hiss and out floated Carl. He was now outfitted with a tiny space helmet, and he was followed by a tall, shimmering alien with skin the color of liquid metal. "Zortop Flub," the alien said, sounding like a musical sneeze. Carl, who seemed to understand this completely, cooed back in a series of trills and chirps that Michael never realized he had in him. Michael's eyes widened as he realized Carl was having a full conversation with an alien, in Pigeon. He couldn't understand a word, but it was clear from Carl's agitated flapping that the conversation was about thumbs. The alien nodded solemnly, apparently agreeing to help. It pulled out a device that looked like a cross between a magic wand and a salad fork and waved it over Carl's wings. Suddenly there was a zap, a flash, and when the light cleared, Carl had thumbs. His wings had somehow transformed into little arms, each ending in a pair of stubby thumbs. Carl squealed with delight, flapping his new thumbs and preening with pride. However, the celebration didn't last long. As he tried to take off, he discovered he could no longer fly. The weight of his thumbs made it impossible. He flapped and flapped, trying desperately to lift off, but his new thumbs were too heavy, pulling him right back to the ground. "Fleep Zortop," the alien said, sounding embarrassed. It gestured apologetically, then waved its wand fork again, reversing the transformation. Carl's wings were back, but the thumbs were gone. He let out a mournful coo, slumping. The alien wasn't ready to give up, though. It adjusted a setting on its device and tried again. This time, Carl's wings were transformed into massive, cartoonish thumbs, thick and rubbery, each one the size of his entire body. Michael stifled a laugh as Carl tried to balance himself on his two enormous thumbs. He looked like a pigeon that had wandered off a surrealist painting. Carl let out a nervous chirp and tipped forward, rolling onto his back, unable to move under the weight of his ridiculous thumbs. With another apologetic zoop flop, the alien reversed the spell, turning Carl back into his normal, thumbless self. Carl sighed in resignation, his thumb dreams seeming to fade. But then the alien had one last idea. With a dramatic wave of its device, it conjured a pair of glowing, spectral thumbs that hovered in the air beside Carl, ready to obey his every command. Carl cooed in triumph, directing his thumbs like a conductor guiding an orchestra. For a moment it was magnificent. He had the best of both worlds. Thumbs he could use without the burden of carrying them on his wings. But as Carl tried to grab things, he quickly learned that the thumbs weren't as useful as they seemed. They were too big for small objects, slipped through anything he tried to hold, and vanished if he moved too fast. Soon they began floating around on their own, trying to open cans, tie shoelaces, and pet neighborhood cats. The thumbs seemed to have developed minds of their own. In the end, Carl called it quits, giving the alien a resigned look. "Coo coo," he trilled, which seemed to translate to, "Thanks, but no thumbs are better than rogue thumbs." With a sigh, the alien zapped away the spectral thumbs and gave Carl a sympathetic pat on the back. It waved goodbye, ascending back into the spaceship as Carl watched, finally thumb-free, yet somehow at peace. Michael, having watched the whole thing, smirked. "So, Carl," he said, scratching his head, "still obsessed with thumbs?" Carl gave a simple, defiant coo and flapped back up to the porch railing, pecking at a breadcrumb with his wing. No thumbs needed. And from that day forward, Carl's obsession with thumbs finally cooled, leaving him with a new appreciation for his simple, feathery wings. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to like and subscribe.